will be Ambassador John Rakolta, Chairman of Walbridge. He served our country as ambassador to the UAE from 2019 to 2021 during an important time in our country's relations with the UAE. He is a DEC board member, an amazing supporter of the DEC and me personally. John does so much for so many here in Michigan, and I want to personally thank John for helping to get President Trump here today. You will see him next. I'm going to go off stage. You'll see him momentarily. Thanks. Enjoy the event, and please join the Detroit Economic Club. Thank you.
What a great looking crowd. Having had the honor of working for President Trump, I can assure you that he's exactly the kind of person you want to go into battle with. A man of conviction, no fear, the tip of the spear, and the man who gets things done. During his 4 years in the White House, his domestic policy achievements, many of which were brought the public and private sectors together, was unprecedented successful. We thought of all of the executed things that he did unbelievably, with precision, with speed, you might even say warp speed. He built a prospering economy that lifted real wages for people in our nation's lowest incomes levels, achieving some of the strongest employment numbers in our lifetime. He also tackled inflation and brought that under control, and we had the lowest inflation for those 4 years in a couple of decades. And he did more to reset our foreign policy than any other president in modern history. And I'd like to just mention a couple of his major accomplishments. He was the first president in 30 years to avoid starting a new war. He ushered in a legacy of peace through strength by rebuilding our degraded and depleted military. He should have won the Nobel Peace Prize for the diplomatic breakthrough in the Middle East known as the Abraham Accords, a brilliantly crafted policy. He avoided what at times looked like an inevitable war with North Korea, and he stopped their testing of nukes and missiles. He changed the bipartisan consensus on China in Congress. He flipped the script, as they say. He convinced our allies that they needed to share more of the NATO burden. He maximized sanctions towards Iran and had them basically at their knees. Had that continued, we wouldn't have had October 7th. And he was a staunch supporter of Israel. That's all a matter of public record. But here are some things that you may not know. I met with Donald Trump for the very first time on July 12th, 2016, shortly before he became the Republican candidate for president. We met to discuss his forthcoming policy on autos and its role in making America great. I observed three individual, distinctive characteristics that I was immensely impressed with. First, he listened intently and patiently to my ideas. No distraction, looking directly into my eyes and telegraphing to me, bring it on, don't hold back. He grasped what I was saying quickly and thoroughly and leaned right into the discussion on a solution on how we bring those middle-class jobs from Mexico back to America. He asked the most provocative, penetrating, and insightful questions, which ultimately convinced me that he and I could work together. And best of all, there was a certain amount of intellectual tension. Professional, of course, and those of you who know me And I love intellectual tension because it brings about an incredible state of mind, one that helps with creativity and problem solving. That was President Trump. But even more importantly, my second encounter with him was in the Oval Office. He invited me to discuss the UAE just before my departure to post. That's when I learned of his vision for peace and prosperity for the Middle East. The UAE would ultimately play a huge role, and that particular exchange was very positive, but he floored me when he asked, "Mr. Ambassador, what can I do to help you?" Just imagine that. A guy from Detroit, Michigan, sitting in the Oval Office and the President of the United States asking me how he could help me do my job better. His clear vision and unwavering support were invaluable to breaking the code with the UAE, laying the groundwork for the Abraham Accords and the promise for the first time in our lifetimes of peace in the Middle East. Yes, President Trump's vision and policies did make America great again and world a safer place. So friends, it is my honor to present my former boss, the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
If tomorrow all things were gone, I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again, just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom.
people want. It's much less expensive. It's what people want. The next part of our effort to bring back domestic manufacturing will be to restore the power, confidence, and the wealth of the American consumer. We have to let them be wealthy again. We have to let them make money, not give money like they did. That's also energy. What their stupid energy policies caused inflation, but also the fact that they gave so much money away that was a very bad thing to do. They thought they were going to buy people's votes. Well, they've already spent that money. And they paid for it, actually, more so because of the cost of inflation for them. Over the past 4 years, Kamala's inflation catastrophe has cost the typical family $29,000 in price hikes. So inflation has cost them $29,000. New and used car prices are up over 29%. Average interest rates for new cars has doubled and tripled and quadrupled. Meanwhile, repair and maintenance costs are up 32%. Car parts are up 22%. Car insurance premiums, what's going on with that? Some places it's up 100%. And the cost of gasoline is up 62%. By driving up prices and interest rates, Kamala's inflation disaster sent car payments way up and car sales way down. Your numbers are terrible, by the way. For the first time ever, the all-in cost of car ownership is now over $1,000 a month. Never been anywhere near that. More than 20% of the median worker's wage just to have an average car. This is a catastrophe for the American dream and a dire crisis for American automakers. One of my top priorities will be to quickly defeat inflation and make America affordable again. We will quickly defeat it. We have to bring down prices. I will cut taxes, slash regulations, curb wasteful spending, and unleash energy production. It'll all happen very quickly. This will rapidly drive prices down, lower interest rates, and put more money into the pockets of American consumers. It'll also bring your grocery bill way down. I have more complaints on grocery. The word grocery, it's sort of simple word, but it sort of means like everything you eat. The stomach is speaking. It always does. And I have more complaints about that, bacon and things going up, double, triple, quadruple. As part of this effort, I will pass major tax cuts for workers, including no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits for our seniors. And here's what I told you about before. The reason you're all sticking around, because I said, do they mind a little bit longer speech? Because, it is a big subject. No, sir. They love it. And I haven't noticed anybody leaving. There was one gentleman over there, but he came back. He went to the bathroom. And what the fake news will do is take a picture of one empty seat, say, people are fleeing. No, they don't flee. Nobody's fleeing. Nobody's leaving. I always watch. If they start to leave, I just end the speech. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to make America great again. Enjoy yourself. No, I do that because oftentimes I lose the teleprompter. Teleprompters go out, but she lost the teleprompter last week. Did you see it? She was talking about 32 days to the election, and she goes, there are 32 days. Oh my God. I just lost a teller. 32. Then she, 32, 32, 32, 32. And I said, what the hell happened to her? And then the teleprompter kicked back on. 32 days to the election. You don't want this for your president. I lose teleprompters probably 5%, 10% of the time. Sometimes I'll be in front of 50,000 people. I'll lose a teleprompter. You got to wing it. You know what you got to do. And you can't say, I just lost my teleprompter. Ladies and gentlemen, how about Biden if he loses his teleprompter? So he goes, do you ever see him lose it? Because they do go off, especially outside. The wind is blowing. I had one in Ohio, Bernie Moreno. I think he has a good chance of winning, by the way. And the teleprompter, it was like 45-mile-an-hour winds and rainy, miserable. And I'm saying, I can't believe we had a tremendous crowd. In fact, he went to first place when I made that speech. and it's going back and forth like this. And you couldn't read it. You ever try read it? And then they blew off the stage. I'm stuck up there. I said, ladies and gentlemen, we have just lost our teleprompters. I hope you enjoy the rest of the speech. And we made a speech, and all I know is he won. He ended up winning the primaries. That was right before the primaries. But this is what you've been waiting for, because today I am also announcing that as part of our tax cuts, we will make interest on car loans fully deductible. So a man who's, a lot of you people are in the car industry. Actually, I met a lot of them backstage. What do you do? I'm in the car industry. But a lot of them, and I told him about it. He's a very knowledgeable person. He said, here's a guy, he's done it all his life. He's sitting right over there. I don't want to embarrass him. But he said, where did you come up with that idea? That's the coolest thing. It's like the paperclip again, right? It's like the paperclip. Somebody comes up with a paperclip and everybody says, why the hell didn't I think of that, right? Somebody came up with a paperclip, I guess made a lot of money. And other people said, gee. But he said, you know, I've been in the car industry all my life. I've never thought about that. So we're going to make it fully deductible, the interest payments. That's going to revolutionize your industry. This will stimulate massive domestic auto production and make car ownership dramatically more affordable for millions and millions of working American families. This is a phenomenal thing, if I do say so myself. Who likes that idea? Isn't that great? Likewise, to help small businesses afford the work vehicles they need to get the job done, we will double the amount of equipment investment they can deduct under Section 179. You know what that means? So you're going to get tremendous deduction ability. This will be great for small businesses, great for Ford and General Motors. It'll be great for them, and we'll sell cars and trucks and work vans like never before. You'll sell so much. Oh, those companies are going to like me, and I have nothing to do with them. I have nothing to do. See, another guy would have gone seen them yesterday. Say, here's what I'm going to do. This is how bad they are. They're evil. Biden would have gone to see him. Hey, I have an idea, but he doesn't have those ideas. Well, Hunter gets $500,000 a painting, and he can't paint. He can't paint worth a damn, right? So that's worse. That's much worse. As we protect gas-powered cars, we will unleash American energy and bring prices way down fast. The day I take office, the word will go out, and we are going to frack, 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 and drill, baby, drill. And Kamala Harris, she's been against fossil fuels all her life. She has no idea why. She has no idea. But she's been against, somebody told her. But Kamala Harris is doing the exact opposite. She's waging war on American energy, and she's imposed a natural gas export ban that I talked about with you before that's currently in effect. And she is right now shutting down power plants all across our country, ruining our country, ruining our electricity pricing and our grid. She's destroying our grid. Prices will soar by more than 100%. Driving us into third world status, even as she forces us to only buy electric cars. Think of it. We don't have electricity. In California, you have brownouts and blackouts every week. And blackouts, I mean, the place is stone cold, broke, no electricity. And this idiot governor over there that I had to deal with, that is really, I don't know if he's really for real. So you have blackouts, brownouts all the time. And now he wants to go 100% electric cars. And then if somebody wants to build some kind of a plant to make electricity, he'll make it impossible for the get. What are they doing? They're destroying our country. They're destroying our country. If this continues, all Michigan manufacturing will be dead in absolutely no time. You won't have any manufacturing, because as that industry goes and as the energy goes, there goes your businesses. As president, my policy will be to maximum. It's going to be maximum energy production to achieve low prices and make the United States into a manufacturer. I want to be a manufacturing powerhouse. We're going to be more powerful than ever before. You know, AI is a new industry, and it's a very big one. And I don't know, it's got some interesting difficulties, but China wants it, and other countries want it, and we've got to be there. But you know, in order to be able to compete with China or compete even with anybody with AI, we have to make double the electricity that we have right now. So take all of the electricity we have to double it up just for that one very big industry. It's going to be very big, but it needs unbelievable amounts of electricity. I will cut the price of energy and electricity in half. Ready? 12 months from January 20th, I take office on January 20th, your electric bill, including cars, air conditioners, heating, everything, your total electric bill will be 50% less. We're going to cut it in half. And we have it. We have the power to do it because we have it. We don't need ships. We don't need long train. We have everything. We're going to have to build some pipelines because we can't transport it. But that's easy to do, and that's safer than trains. But we're going to get this done, and you're going to have, within 1 year, think of it, within 1 year, you're going to have electric bills and energy bills and your gasoline for your car. It's going to be 50% cheaper than it is right now. That's a big thing. That's a big thing. But we will seriously expedite our environmental approvals. I will expedite them. If I have to, I'll just approve them because they use that. You know, they use the environmental approvals to stop progress and quickly double our electricity capacity. And we're going to have it doubled and tripled. This will drive down inflation and make America and Michigan the best place on earth to build a factory. And finally, as we bring back our economy and our auto industry, and you're going to see an industry that's going to come back so fast. They all want to be here. But the laws and the regulations and the tremendous crazy taxes and the competition with other countries made it impossible. I will continue my first-term efforts to protect America from the threat of Chinese automobiles. I will stop Chinese and other countries produced automobile and autonomous vehicles. Do you like autonomous? Does anybody like an autonomous vehicle? You know what that is, right? When you see a car driving along. Some people do, I don't know. It's a little concerning to me, but the autonomous vehicles, we're going to stop from operating on American roads. Remember this, I will close the loopholes under Biden and Harris that are beginning to allow Chinese vehicles to creep into American streets. They're destroying Europe. Europe's car industry is being just decimated. This is not just a matter of economic security, it's a matter of national security. We have to have a car industry. And you know, that can be swapped in wars, that can be swapped and make other things. I mean, there's so many reasons you have to keep it. Second World War. Do you know, we built, in the Second World War, we built a ship a day. Nobody can even believe it. Today, we practically don't build a ship a year. We used to build the Second World War. We built a ship a day, freighters and things, but a ship a day. And today, it's crazy. We're going to get it back to a position where we can do things like that. This is how we will bring back our auto parts and bring back our manufacturing and unlock the destiny of the great state of Michigan. Michigan's going to be your biggest beneficiary for this. We're going to put America workers first, America's jobs first, American cars first, America factories first, and we're going to put the American people first. It's the first time in a long time you've heard that. From commerce to labor to FEMA. Boy, oh boy, have they been treated badly, the people of North Carolina and other states, Georgia a little bit. You get some governors that did a great job, but boy, the federal government let you down. I will work for Americans and only for Americans. I want to work for Americans. America first. It's a very simple policy, America first. When we do all of this, you will witness nothing less than the launch of a new American industrial revolution. Thousands of factories will open up all across our land. Great paying blue collar jobs will lift up those who have suffered so terribly over the past 4 years. You heard the numbers in the auto industry, it's collapsing. Inflation will come down fast. American cars and products will be exported and admired all throughout the world again. Young people will move from the coasts to big cities into the heartlands to build their fortunes on the new frontier of the American Midwest. They're going to move back. Instead of leaving, they're going to be moving back. And I'm telling you right now, standing here in the center of this once great city, that by the end of my term, the entire world will be talking about the Michigan miracle and the stunning rebirth of Detroit. That's going to happen very quickly. With your vote, we will bring back our country, we will rebuild our country, and we will reunite our country with American heart, American grit, and American hands. I want to thank you all for being here. This is a great honor. It's such an important day to me because I've been talking about this subject for so long, and I've watched politicians destroy this area, this state, this city. And it's so easy to fix, so we're going to fix it better than anybody ever thought even possible. So God bless you all. And now I think on top of all that, I think I have to answer some questions. Can you believe it? So I'll stay here and I'll answer some questions. But thank you all very much, and we appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that was a tremendous amount of information that you've given to us, and we'll see that the questions, you've really answered most of them already.
I think so.
I mean, you've really done a great job. And so what I thought I would do is to jump to a couple personal questions. The first one that I've always been intrigued with, you have an enormous amount of energy. I haven't seen anybody like you in my lifetime that keep on going and going and going, in spite of sometimes some rather negative responses and forces here in our country. How do you do it?
Like a bullet to the ear. So I had parents that were great. It's you have good parents. You sort of, I believe in that theory. It helps. But I have two parents that were energetic. They lived for a long time. They were around for a long time. They were great people. But my father had tremendous energy, and my mother did too. And it's a little bit that, I think, more than anything else. And I enjoy what I do, and I love this. Despite I could be right now in the most beautiful ocean on the sand, exposing my really beautiful body, so beautiful, to the sun and the surf. Skin cancer, right? To the sun and the surf all over the world. And or I could be in Detroit with you, and I'd rather be in Detroit with you. Okay.
That's great. Thanks. We've known each other for a while, and I know your children and I have been just enormously impressed with their values, their lifestyles, and you did a great job raising them. How did you do that? Everybody here loves their kids, and you mentioned about creating an environment where we can pass our businesses down to our children, basically tax-free or something close to that. What did you do with your children to make them so responsible and so involved in everything that you do?
Well, I'm fortunate in that, they're smart children. Many of you have smart, and some will have some that aren't so smart, and you have to understand that happens too, and that's all, and you're going to love them just as much. But, I have smart children, and they've been good academically, et cetera, et cetera. But very importantly, I would always tell them, no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. No drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. And they'd go out, and Ivanka would say, Dad, stop telling me that. And I said, I'm going to tell it to you every time I see you. I'm going to drive you wild with this. You're going to, no drugs, no alcohol. And I would say that. And I hope that, because who knows, right? But they don't have any of those problems. I mean, I've seen friends, very smart people. They have smart kids, but their kids get hooked on drugs or they get hooked on alcohol. Alcohol is, in many ways, like they tell me, I don't know. I never had a glass of alcohol. I had a great brother, a brother who was a wonderful guy, but he had an alcohol problem. And he sort of do the same. He said, "Don't ever drink alcohol." And he smoked, and I put cigarettes in that same category, almost that same category, but they're certainly not good for you. But I would always tell my kids, because I've seen parents that had brilliant children, went to the best schools, they were great, but they got hooked on drugs or alcohol, and they never made it. They couldn't compete, basically. They never made it. And many of them are dead. Many of them die. They die with this fentanyl that's coming in. I'm going to get that problem. I had that problem almost solved with President Xi, by the way. And I said, you have to impose the maximum penalty, or we're not going to, I would always talk about trade. We have the power of trade. And I said, well, we're just not going to get along on trade. Hence, I can do things like we talked about. I don't want to go into it, but we can do things. And he and I had a handshake on he was going to impose the maximum penalty on people that run companies that sell us through Mexico. Almost all of it comes through Mexico. And the maximum penalty is the death penalty. And he was going to impose that. And then we had the transfer power. And this guy came in and he didn't know what to do with anything. And so that went down the tubes. But one of the first things I'm going to do is talk to him about that, because they were going to give the death penalty to anybody sending fentanyl into this country. And that would have really solved a lot of the problem. And the other thing I say, and it's not nice to settle like saying it, but, I've seen a lot of countries. I deal with all of them, and I know that all of them. And the only ones that don't have a drug problem are the ones that have the death penalty. We can set up all of our blue ribbon committees. Everybody calls me. You would call me. My friends call me. Could I be on that blue ribbon committee? And they'd have a blue ribbon committee on drugs and how to stop, these drug lords who are very smart people, very, very vicious, very smart. And we'll have these people from New York, some dilettantes, and they didn't want to talk about it. They just want to be a part of, whatever it is. The only ones that stop drugs, the only ones are the ones that have the death penalty. And you have to remember, it sounds horrible, but what's more horrible is what they do to our country, because on average, he or she, male or female, drug dealer, will kill 500 people. And that doesn't include the families that are devastated. I know families that lost a son or lost a daughter. They've never been the same. I mean, they're like different people. You talk to them and they're just, years later, I say, has it gotten better? No, it's gotten worse, they tell me. And there's nothing worse than that. And nothing worse than that. And it's because of drugs. It's because if I maybe it's too much for the American people to go with, but I will say this: the only countries that solve their drug problem, China. I went to President Xi. I said, so first time I met him, I said, do you have a drug problem? No, 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 no. 1.4 billion people. And why don't you have a drug problem? He says, death penalty, quick trial. What's a quick trial? The dealer is immediately put on trial. They don't have 9 years of legal and then another 9 years of appeals, 22 years later, and then they're released. No, this is, they don't play games, and, it's a tough deal. But he said, quick trial. I said, what is quick trial? Immediate trial. And you know what the drug dealers do? They say, hey, let's get the hell out of here fast. They don't play games. They don't play games. They even send the bullet to the family, and they make them pay for the bullet. They make them pay for the bullet. It's vicious, but they have no drug problem. With 1.4, they had a drug problem for centuries, with the poppy fields, with all the things. And they realized countries were taking them over that were much smaller, they were being decimated because everybody they had a tremendous drug problem. But it stopped years ago, and it was the death penalty. And I can tell you, we could set up all the committees, blue ribbon, and headed by so-and-so, a society person from Madison Avenue. But I will tell you that it's a waste of time. The only thing that's going to stop, and we got it down, I got it down 19%. That's great. But, but it's not like I got it done, and we worked like hell. We had so much security in the border. We had the German Shepherds. There's a certain dog, a certain type of German Shepherd. So they have millions of dollars worth of machinery, and they have a dog, and it's a certain German Shepherd. Some of you know what it is. It has a sense of smell that's so incredible that the machine is nothing by comparison, nothing. And it's incredible to see. I mean, incredible. But we watched it very closely on the border. We had a lot of dogs that did this incredibly well. And we had a lot of very expensive machinery that did it good, not great, but they did it good, not nearly as good, believe it or not. And we had it down about 19%, and that was it. It was very tough. With the death penalty, you would eradicate drugs in this country. But and I talk about it a lot. I say that because maybe people have to get used to it because it sounds harsh. But when you think of it, if they do kill on average 500 people, everybody in this room knows a lot of people that they lost a child or sometimes a father or mother, but they've lost a child to fentanyl, and that wouldn't have happened if we had the death penalty. But the country's going to have to tell us that they're ready for it because it's a pretty big step.
You mentioned the Abraham Accords and Israel. This community is one of the largest Arab communities in the United States here, Dearborn, Michigan, and we have a thriving and very, very large Jewish community. Upon your inauguration, what will you do to accelerate the Abraham Accords and peace in the Middle East? What can we possibly do at this point in time to change the direction right now and move forward?
It's got to change. It's got to change fast. Also, the Abraham Accords, well, we did that. Nobody believed it. We had 4 very important countries early on, and we would have had all of them in. I even make the statement, I said it the other day, I even think we would have had Iran in, if you can believe it. I really believe that because they were ready to make a deal. Biden lost an unbelievable opportunity. And now they're very rich, and I don't know, they view it perhaps differently, but I wouldn't necessarily say they're doing so good either. But I will tell you this: we have to have peace throughout the world, and if we don't have peace throughout the world, we're not smart people because it doesn't make sense. I've stopped a lot of wars from starting. I was very proud of that. People don't know, but there are countries that were going to war, and I stopped them using trade to stop them. I use trade. I threaten trade. I'd say you're not going to do business with the United States if you do. There's countries that have been fighting for centuries, essentially, and stop, and then they go kill a lot of people. Crazy, but I've stopped a lot of people. And but the Abraham Accords were very important, and you had really peace. You had the Arabs and the Jews getting along, and those are for the 4 countries. Now, it should have been many countries right now. It's still the same 4. Think of it. When I left, we were going to sign people as fast as you can think, and they could have done the same thing, but they didn't have the talent. They didn't have the administration to do it. And they even agreed it was a good thing. It was a good thing. It was actually a great thing. If I were named Obama, I would have had the Nobel Prize given in 10 seconds. He got the Nobel Prize. He didn't even know what the hell he got it for. Remember, he got elected. Well, so did I. He got elected, and they announced he was getting the Nobel Prize. Remember, he said, "Oh, what did I do?" He didn't know what the hell he did. He got the Nobel Prize for doing nothing. For getting elected, but I got elected too. And if I think of that, we did something, the Abraham Accords, unprecedented. Nobody thought it was possible. And I'm not saying want or not. I'm just saying if it was anybody else, liberal, Democrat, they would have had it before the damn thing was even signed, So there has to be fairness, and I don't care, but I'm not looking for it. I'm not politicking for it. I'm just saying that there's a lot of unfairness in this world. And I think when you do things, you should really be, you can have peace in the Middle East. You can get along. This was a start. This would have been so important if you could have had almost all of the countries and maybe even Iran. I mean, Iran would be the outlier, but maybe even Iran at a certain point. I really believe I could have gotten them all, including Iran. And Iran, everybody would have been happy. You would have had peace in the Middle East. and you would have had the Arabs getting along with the Jews and the Jews getting along with everyone else. It would have been so beautiful. And they wasted this great opportunity. It's so sad.
So we have time for one final question, and it's a DEC tradition. We have many young adults and students in the audience today, and so I want to end with this final question. What advice to your 25-year-old self would you give to the young people today, and especially the ones in this audience?
Okay, so I met some people backstage who were young and some really beautiful people, great people, smart as can be from colleges and schools. And I think what I'd do is I'd listen to the speech I made and I'd say maybe, because they really would like to stay here. They grew up here. And I'd follow. And I will say this, if I implement, and I will be able to do it, I will. If we win the election, I would stay right here and I would follow the gravy train, because you're going to have such a great opportunity right in the area that you want to be. You want to be here because your grandparents here and your parents are here and people are there. They don't want to leave. They've been forced to leave this area because of politicians that didn't know what they were doing. I would say stay tuned for a little while. Let's see what happens in the election. This area will be thriving like probably almost no area in the country. I think this area will be one of the hottest areas in the country. And I think you can stay here. You'll get a great job because we're going to have a lot of opportunities right here in Michigan. And you want to stay here because of your parents. A lot of them really, they told me backstage, I'd love to stay here, but there's no real jobs here. And when you look at those horrible statistics with the auto workers and with the, what's happening to the industry, you understand it. But if we win, I would stay here and you watch what's going to happen. You'll be happy. You'll be happier here than, and I think more successful here than any other place in the country. You will have the American dream. We have to bring back the American dream. You don't even hear that statement anymore. And we have to have the American dream for our young people, and you'll have it right here in Michigan.
Mr. President, thank you. I'm looking forward to all those auto plants that I'm going to be building back here in Michigan in the Midwest. It's okay. They all know anyways. Every time you're on TV or on the radio, somebody calls me up and said, oh, the president was talking about you again. Thank you so much. And that's the end of our program today. Thank you all for coming. Let's give the president a standing ovation.
That's great.
Thank you very much.
I don't want to get him involved.
No. They all know.
You should be proud of it. Yeah.